Very glad so do you.
I have one or two. Thank you, Ann.
I like your blouse, Anne. Thank you. It's very pretty and powerful.
Good morning, everyone. If you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We'll take care of some of our weekly housekeeping before carrying on with our meeting. It is Monday, September 15th. This is the Broadwater County Commissioners meeting, general business meeting. We do follow Robert's Rules of Order and do have a Broadwater County public meeting policy, also known as the civility policy. And the purpose of this policy is to open Broadwater County public meetings to all county citizens. We realize we have a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to conduct county business as effectively as possible for all Broadwater County residents. Commission meetings are recorded and are on YouTube, so please state your full name prior to public comment for the record. Any separate conversations need to be removed from the meeting and conducted outside. Outbursts will not be tolerated. Public comment will give each citizen who wishes to speak an initial 3 minutes to do so. All comments will be directed to the board chairman. So with that, do we have any public comment? Any public comment? John, we had to have you escorted from the meeting last week. If you've got something different and civil to say, I will give you 3 minutes to do so. It's the same thing we've been hearing for 2 years. I'm going to cut you off.
Well, you better cut me off, because I'm going to readdress one issue. Monday, you acted out of text using a foreign law implemented to me, which is parliamentary law. That's what we fought England.
Okay, thank you, John. All
Now,
right,
the other
any
issue-
John?
The other issue is about the hospital. You don't want to hear that?
Nope. All right. Robert's Rules of Order or Mason's Rules of Order are accepted. Brenda,
Brenda, stay here for a
the
second.
button was just pushed on Mr. Wright. Would you please escort him from the meeting?
I reiterated when she asked me a question, I responded about what happened Monday. And I very simply said, was going to say, I was in an act of civil disobedience when she broke the law, not me. And then I wanted to talk about the hospital and the issues of that because I was expelled. And I'd like to talk about that. Will you sit right there for just a minute and let me make an issue?
Is that the board's wish or?
You
I
are,
have
sure.
pushed the button. I have asked Mr. Wright to be courteous. No, we are not going to hear anymore. I have asked that he be escorted out of this meeting. If you would like to override the commission, that's fine.
Oh, so it seemed more civil, their act is against my rights versus a right that she's not even implementing.
Board? Is that the board's request, I guess?
Takes all three of them to make that decision.
That's why I'm asking the board. I think,
I'll give you 3 minutes, I guess. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Thank you.
Nope.
Well, then you've got to break the law some more then. How far are you going to go?
time for Montana Minute.
Would you please escort him from the meeting, Brenda? Or are you going to not?
Talk with me, okay?
Thank you, Commissioner Greenberg. Yes, it is time for a Montana Minute. Franklin, do you have anything good to say about our state?
Yeah, we got a good break in weather. A lot of crops to be harvested yet. Looks like we got a pretty good break here for a few days anyway.
Now, this is Jerry.
right, Elaine, do you have anything good to say?
I do. You know, I think we're very fortunate to live where we do. They get hurricanes, they get floods, all of the above. We might get a blizzard, but it doesn't last for days like what they all get. And I just feel very fortunate that we live where we do. Besides, it's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. My Montana Minute is going to be different than I had thought about driving to work this morning. I spent the week at a retreat for the Board of Crime Control. On that board sits representatives from every facet of criminal justice, law enforcement, police, sheriffs, county attorneys, defense, victims, CASA, which is child advocacy. And one of the things that we did that's mandated by Congress, the Board of Crime Control was an act of Congress that formed the board. And we're responsible for disseminating the data so that we can track where criminal justice is. Number of arrests, DUIs, number of children who are victimized, partner assaults, etc. And as part of that, it's mandated by Congress that we have a yearly goal-setting and strategic planning meeting. So that's what we did this last week, as we had our legally mandated strategic planning. We had discussions, we had constructive arguments, but with this very diverse group of people, what we had was a foundation of respect and a group of 18 board members and about a dozen staff members whose number one and all-encompassing goal was how to best serve Montana. Broadwater County needs a bit more of that. What we saw this morning is not okay. What we saw this morning has been happening every single week, almost without fail. The number of times that Mr. Wright has been escorted from this meeting, I've lost count. We had a series of meetings there for a couple of months where we had a deputy have to sit in on these meetings to keep civility. Broadwater County is better than this. It needs to end, and this commission needs to stand together as a team, set our goal as working for the good of this county first and foremost. So that's my Montana Minute. Any other Montana minutes? All right. We do have an appointment coming up here in about 3 minutes, but we do have a little bit of time for mail. First thing on the order of business is housekeeping from last meeting. We have the minutes from September 8, 2014, and those were emailed out a couple of times this week.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes, September 8th, 2014.
Thank you. We have a first motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 8, 2014. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Can I have a Montana minute, even though it's out of order?
I wish you would. You bet.
You know, I just have to say hats off to Ann. She does a fantastic job taking our minutes, transcribing them, and having them for the next meeting.
Yes, she
A
does.
great job.
Thank you. All right. A couple more pieces of mail. Speaking of the Montana Board of Crime Control, this came in the mail, the Montana Crime Prevention Conference. It will be in Helena this year, October 7 through 10.
Pretty picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Next, we have from the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, a letter from Gavin Anderson. This is something I believe that Dana is already on top of. We can certainly give him a copy just to make sure. Dear Commissioners, I'm contacting you with a request on behalf of the Central Land Office of the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation in reviewing the way we respond to requests for comments on proposed subdivisions near or adjacent to state lands. In an effort to be more consistent in responding to requests for comments on proposed subdivisions near state land trust lands in your county, state school trust lands in your county. We are asking that all correspondence be sent to the below address. So Nicole should also get a copy of that letter, just to be on the safe side. We have a letter from Rocky Mountain Development Council, and this is from Julie, the new executive director. Dear Elaine, Lauren, Franklin, thanks so much for meeting with me. I know you have busy schedules, but it was so pleasant of you to meet you all. Thanks, too, for your support of Rocky with the mill appropriation. We will use it wisely. I look forward to sharing at the dinner club with you in Townsend. Best, Julie. We get so accustomed to reading type print that sometimes handwriting is difficult. She has beautiful handwriting though, so it's not her fault, it's mine. An email from Charlie was sent to the three of us. He is going to be meeting with Harold next week on getting the work done at the transfer tower to kind of up the strength of the channels. Citizens will still need, are you looking for something?
The judge.
Actually, straight down the hall after the steps, first door on your left.
Thank you.
You bet. Citizens will still need to, redo their antennas, just turn them off and turn them on, in order to get the strength renewed. But he is in the market for transcoders, and we'll have an extra one after he does what he needs to do. Is it okay with you guys if he purchases our used transcoder for $1,000?
I'm fine with that.
Franklin?
Fine with me.
All right, I will let him know.
You want a motion?
Yeah, probably wouldn't be a bad
So
idea.
moved.
No second.
It's been moved and seconded to okay the purchase of our transcoder by Charlie from the TV tower. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, I'm gonna let him know via email after our meeting today. We have payroll in the amount of $152,358.81.
Make a motion, we approve the payroll, $351,351.81.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay payroll in the amount of $152,358.81. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I must have heard you wrong.
Well, I probably mumbled this morning.
No, I covered.
Would you sign those so we can put them in the claims pile?
Why is there one from Southwest Chemical? I thought that
Are you thinking of the mental health bill?
maybe.
I think, that's an annual amount that we pay, and it helps with, the DUI task force and, some of the anti-drinking, work that they do. And I think it's funded through, some of the taxes on alcohol that were implemented not too long ago, a couple years ago. I should go here. Excuse me. We have the approved claims from last week in the amount of $40,769.59.
I'll move we pay the claim for $40,000, whatever was there.
$769.59. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the approved claims in the amount of $40,769.59. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. There you go. Thank you. Okay, the next little bit will take a few minutes, but if Mary Ellen comes, I'll go ahead and interrupt it and we'll revisit it a bit later. A couple of questions. We have conference next week. They are doing the gift again. It's a chance. What we've done in the past is the commissioners out of our own pockets have purchased a Broadwater County item as a gift to take to conference. There's a chance at conference to kind of showcase the talents of everybody's county while they have drawings during lunch and those kinds of things. It is not, again, costing taxpayers a penny. It comes out of our pockets personally. So would you guys like to repeat that practice and get a gift for conference next week?
Yep, and I'm open to suggestions.
All right.
Fine with me.
What's that?
It's fine with me.
Okay. In the past, we've done Goose Bay Glass with one of their pumpkins. That was popular. We did the drugstore and an array of items from there. We have Bird's Nest this year, and it's got a lot of kind of the stalls by locals. What do you guys think?
I try the Bird's Nest just because it's different.
Okay, all
I
right.
mean, I don't have a problem with what we've done. But
I
don't
agree
think
with
it
you,
might-
actually.
But I'd like
Yeah.
to try something different.
Those pumpkins are really spectacular.
I think they're great.
Yeah. All right, Bird's Nest okay with you,
Fine
Franklin?
with me.
$10 a piece, 30-ish?
I think so.
Okay, Franklin, you good with that?
Okay.
All right, so, I will pick up a gift, and, I'll let you guys know via email. If you guys have any thoughts, let me know.
I don't,
All right,
use your own judgment.
okay. Okay, the second piece from conference is we do have a, notice of the meeting. We also have EverFund bylaws. I'm just gonna hand these over. I am the voting delegate for Broadwater County as the chairman of the board. So if you guys have anything with the bylaws, first off, that you want to have addressed, I'd be happy to bring those forward. If you approve what's there, I'd be happy to bring our vote forward. If you don't approve, let me know and I will vote no.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes, Tim?
Quick question, this conference, it's the Association of Counties,
Yes.
thank you,
Yep, Montana Association of Counties. We have an annual business conference.
thank you.
It's the 105th annual conference.
Remember when they did the 100th?
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't very long ago, was it? Hey, Renee. And these will, of course, be in the commission meeting. Should anybody choose to look at the bylaws, you're more than welcome to. And if you guys have any further comments, let me know.
conferences are always so good. They're such a learning experience.
Yeah.
And aside from meetings, I mean, just being able to visit with, like, commissioners.
Yeah, share ideas,
Mhm.
learn what not to do from their mistakes.
Mhm.
That's always the best.
Excuse me, another question.
Yes.
Do the bylaws that you have that you're looking at, do they have any recommended changes for this?
Mhm. Yeah, they have additions and subtractions proposed. And again, these will be in the commission office if anybody wants to take a look. It's public domain. Some people really enjoy bylaws. I'll just leave it at that.
Read between the lines, huh?
Right, yeah. You know, before we get into the resolutions, we do have on the agenda at 10:30 COS review. Do you have one of those or two?
I do.
All right, come on up.
Are you seeing more, are you seeing lots more survey work now that the market is starting to open up?
Yeah, we've been busy all summer, yeah. A lot of, all over, but I see a lot of, for instance, this is, let's see, this was for 51 Ranch in the Goggins. And, their legals were, it had this piece cut out and this piece cut out, and they were selling, some of their tracks. So we cleaned it up, and did some boundary relocations because they wanted to sell the house with the shop. And, this legal kind of was a jigsaw puzzle of things taken out. So we just, and then they owned this parcel, which the railroad cut in half. So we put this part in with this section of land, the area that they owned, and the deeded railroad creates a separate tract over there. So we tried to just, since they were doing this, clean up everything else. So they had
Is this Goggins or Higgins?
the Goggins.
51 Ranch.
Yes, and 51 Ranch. Well, they are 51 Ranch, but
Mhm.
some of the land they owned personally and some land was in the ranch. So they're just doing it among, between themselves, their corporation event, but just to clean up their legal descriptions and find out exactly what they do.
I would make a motion to approve the presented plat for the 51 Ranch.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to support the boundary relocations for the 51 Ranch and Gogginses. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And this one's for the Twos, Montana Farms LLC. I believe it's a dairy farm or, that used to be chicken farm.
Chicken farm.
And they are, keeping the chicken farm, but they're selling this, but they're doing a boundary location here too because for a pivot. So the owners of this and this one are exchanging some so that they have pivot room. So it's between Montana Farms and Creekland Partners.
The which?
Creekland Partners, which is Clint too.
Mhm.
Oh,
And Brandon Buchan, I guess, make that partnership.
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to support the boundary relocation for twos. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries.
All right. But yeah, all these are some sales going on that redo boundaries for one purpose or another.
That's good to see.
Because I've seen the buyer was going to be the biggest landowner in the county. I could be wrong.
That received her, I don't know.
Any more?
That's it for
All
today.
right. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have Mary Ellen Schnurr, Mental Health Quarterly Update. Come on up, Mary Ellen. Move these back a minute, so we have more room.
Yes, we'll add to the pile here.
Thank you.
The lady who makes the spreadsheets apparently doesn't have to hand them out to
Thank
anybody.
Doesn't what?
Doesn't have to hand them out to anybody. You can look at your computer and you can see that thing all the way across, but when you print it off, it doesn't work that way. What I brought for you today, I guess first of all, I'll tell you that Center for Mental Health, when they put their budget together, which is this fat packet of paper in the middle of your stack, they thought they had a therapist hired for Broadwater County, and so they budgeted for a full year of Broadwater County, and she backed out. So we're back to back to looking again for a qualified therapist, and I guess I really need to stress that they don't wanna just plug somebody in here. They're really wanting a qualified person that is gonna be one that'll be fiscally responsible and professionally responsible and competent, and also will fit into the community. So, it's taken a long time, but they're not gonna throw any junk our way. So, so you can see there that they did put a budget in for, a person, personnel and so forth. They put in, a budget of $2,000 for a place to operate, which I think, they were being real helpful there, because they were paying more than that by a lot before. So you can look through that. Then in the middle of it, we ask them to give us a little more information, because when you look at the communications and so forth, oh my goodness, some of that's a huge amount of money. And so they gave us a little breakdown of what these different things would be in the coming year for data processing and telephone sort of things and so on. But the thing that just slays us all, and there's not a lot of getting around it, is the cost of internet for all these rural offices. And when we get our office up and running again, we will be in this list too of paying $20,000 a year or so. for
Why is
our
that so
internet
high?
service. It is, my son-in-law works for a company that deals with this all the time, and he said, oh, don't worry, D.A. Davidson's is way more expensive than that. But it has to do with, certain companies charge more, so depending on what company serves you, depends a little bit on what you have to pay, but it has to do with bandwidth and amount of time and so forth, and they just seem like, whew, they can charge almost anything, and it's really a huge amount of money. And we do have there's a grant that is supposed to help rural community medical providers and so forth, to pay for these services. And so that's called USAC, and we never know how much that might be. But it might be something, you know, probably will be something, but not nearly, the total. So anyway, that just gives you kind of an overview of what Center for Mental Health is looking at budget-wise for the coming year. And Broadwater County last year wasn't even listed in the budget, so we made it listed this year, but we still have nobody to provide service.
It's a tragedy.
It is too bad, it really is too bad, and you know what, we just keep plugging along, and there's gonna be somebody show up, for, you know, that's gonna be the answer to what we're looking for, I'm sure. One thing that is kind of a challenge as far as finding someone to handle an office like this is finding someone that has enough life experience as well as professional experience. And there's a lot of really good up-and-coming young therapists that are coming out of school or coming out of internships or so forth, but they aren't equipped to handle an office like this. And so they need some years of polish on them and some years of experience, and it's a nice thing for the big places where they have lots of supervision and have somebody else taking care of the financial matters and so forth, but they're one-man show here. Then your other little small packet is just a income statement for July, which is the first month of the new year. And even though our income was less than it was a year ago, our expenses were also considerably less, so we came out ahead in the end. And that was an encouraging thing. And Broadwater County had 0 expenses and 0 income, so we were just sitting there for the month. Then the big long sheets, I put Broadwater County on the top for you guys. There's each county is listed here, and so you can go back and compare what our services are from one county to the other, what our expenses are. And they're divided out by outpatient therapy, by case management, by therapeutic aids, and by assisted living, group home kind of income. And so Broadwater County, of course, has 0 for all those things, but you get an idea of how they kind of look at things when you can look at a county that's comparable in size. And Toole County is probably a pretty fair comparison as far as population and you know, what the potential for services in Broadwater County would be if we were fully staffed and running.
So over in Jefferson, they must not have.
They don't, and their idea is to hire the person who is hired for us would spend a few days a month in Jefferson County also, until they can build up enough caseload that person could, you know, would be full-time here. And it would take a little time to get people coming in the door again, and when then Jefferson County will once again have to share with Helena or something, unless this person has built enough caseload up there that they think they can find someone to take that position. Jefferson County is like Broadwater County, and the fact that it's rural and it's not uptown, nobody's watching you real close, and they have 2 big towns in their county, so that person in the past has served in Boulder so many days a week, and Whitehall so many days a week, and they had a case manager of their own in Whitehall at one time. And so they've got their own issues too. The thing is that most of the people in Jefferson County live right up next to Lewis and Clark County, and a lot of them do everything in Helena because they're closer to Helena than they are to Boulder. So that makes a difference.
How many caseworkers does Helena have?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. They have a lot of people. They have a lot of people. And they're all busy. They're all really busy. Michelle Cuddy is the director in Helena. and she comes down here to the mental health local advisory meetings when she can. And she's swamped. Because she has a caseload of her own besides supervising the whole office. And again, you know, it's a constant challenge to keep people in there, because everybody's life is changing all the time. And spouses get a job someplace else, or the VA hires, the VA is a big competitor in Helena for everything in the medical community. And so they hire people, and then every now and then somebody decides that they would sooner be in private practice, and because they are in charge of their own hours and so forth then, and so then they take up on that one. And I have to say, we are fortunate in Townsend right now that we do have one private practitioner, Jennifer Beatty. And she is in Townsend, I think, 3 days a week. She goes to Butte 2 days a week. So, there again, there's a lot of that splitting up, some here and some there, even in private practice. So, our board will meet again on September 29th, and, hopefully by then they may have found somebody else. I know I got a note from the HR lady here a couple weeks ago, and she said, "We've got an application that looks kind of good here," you know. We'll see how far that goes, but it was encouraging to see that at least they were getting applications.
And that committee that's up and running, how are they doing?
They're doing well. They changed their meeting days to Wednesdays, so it's easier for you folks to go and for law enforcement to go and some of the other people. I think we need someone designated by the health community, either from one of the doctor's offices, the hospital, or the county health office. Somebody from that medical community needs to be on that board, and that person hasn't been identified yet. But their meeting, this next meeting, they'll elect their officers now that they're all formally recognized by resolution, and also they'll select a bylaws committee to get their bylaws in order, which their bylaws are gonna be pretty much a copy of other counties around us. And once they're flying good, you know, I intend not to be as big a part of them as I am now. I think that I can back off and it'll be fine. And especially if one of you wants to go to those meetings. So,
How many are on the committee?
they're supposed to be 10 when they're full. And we left it that more people can come. You know, 10's kind of like the minimum, and those people are identified for what their interests need to be. But if more people want to come and be involved, they can be involved on a subcommittee level or something like that. And the people who are clients have been very interested in having Broadwater County and Mark County have a joint advisory council. And so when we talked about that before, we said, let's get Broadwater County all cool first, you know, and then let's go ahead and approach Mark County. Well, I just happened to run into Ben Hurwitz a few days ago, and so he asked me how things were going. So I said, well, somebody's gonna come to see you eventually. And as a county commission of one at that time in the grocery store, he said, great, we'll be happy to sign on and join on. So we got the thought planted at least. So, but they're dealing with way more isolation than we are, and his concern a lot was suicide. So many suicides. You know, we think we have a lot. They have more.
I think they have a lot of teenagers.
Well, they did lately, yeah. It was kind of an epidemic there, you know, just a huge thing. But among other people in the community too. So, and that's the one thing, you know, this crew did the mental health first aid, and that was well attended, and I think they'd like to do that again maybe. And there was a mental health first aid for youth program that was put on by Youth Dynamics for schools, before school started this year. And I don't know if any of our teachers were able to go to that or not, but it was well publicized with the educational community, so hopefully some of them got to go to that. It's just one more resource that we can use to help ourselves, and get people set at the right place. Brenda Ludwig was at the last council meeting, and she had, some pretty interesting, figures about how much it costs Broward County's law enforcement to handle mental health crises that could and should be handled in some other way. And she was gonna go back and break those down further for the next meeting for the group to have a little more specific information. In the meantime, and one reason for that is because our whole state mental health system is set up the way it is. That the first place that you're interviewed with so many times is law enforcement. And if you go to jail, then all of a sudden you belong to the county's bill. And so the people that are working with the legislature, DPHS has some ideas, and the directors of the mental health agencies around the state have some ideas, and all of them have pretty much turned things upside down from the way they are now, so that there be a lot more ability to intervene in the community before life is a crisis. And detour a lot of people out of that breaking point where they wind up at jail or at Warm Springs. So we'll see how that goes, and it's gonna be new. We never did that before. So we'll have to work on that in the legislature, and as that develops, I'll keep you advised of what's going on there. And I think you'll probably hear some about it at Mako here too, shortly.
Yeah, they've got some things that they're working on too,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay, more questions?
What time on the 29th? Is it the same time?
You mean on the 24th?
Oh, is it the 24th? Is your next meeting?
The Mental Health Advisory Council meeting is the 24th.
Okay,
That's a Wednesday.
all right.
And,
2 o'clock.
but is it 2 o'clock? Okay. Good thing you're here keeping track of us, Judy. Yeah. The 29th is the board meeting in Great Falls, so that's another.
Oh, okay, all right. We have commissioner conference next week, so we will be gone the 24th. If either he comes back early, attending on behalf
Yeah,
of the
so we can
commissioner,
drop
would be
in,
great.
and the meeting will be in the conference room at the hospital. We're definitely going forward. And that group is working also on putting out a news, informational, kind of a campaign. And they've talked to the hospital, and it looks like they'll be able to probably have a section in the hospital newsletter that's mailed to everybody in the county.
Nice.
They'll be able to have a section in there every time. So that'll increase awareness in the county, for sure. They're a cool working bunch.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Okay, more questions?
No, but I do appreciate that you guys are looking for the right fit versus the fast fit.
Yeah.
In the long
Tried
run,
that
it'll be
once.
better.
Didn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
More than once we tried that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
Mary Ellen. Chuck will be here Friday.
Oh, really? I might be home Friday.
Okay,
I can call.
I'll do it.
Yes, Teresa.
Maybe someone could video the meeting for you on Wednesday if you guys are gonna be gone.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. All right. We are right on time. 10:45, DOR, Supreme Court Tax Refund Policy for Defined Subdivisions Decision. This is addressing the issue of potential refunds to particular subdivisions who fall under the new Supreme Court ruling. Now, there's certain requirements that the lots have to be a certain number of acres and contiguous. I propose that those be proven, defined, that we have a paper trail, so in writing, and then this is the letter, that was modeled from the letter that Lewis and Clark uses. I changed it a little bit. Looking for edits or your, thoughts, and we should approve it as a board before moving forward.
That's good to me.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, then I would entertain a motion that we approve the letter and the stated policy behind it.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the requirement that subdividers requesting the review of the retroactive tax valuations gain the legal proof that they qualify and submit this, and we, the Broadwater County, submit the letter to Department of Revenue upon that information. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Actually, we don't need to sign this, this is just a model, because the actual letter would have the particular subdivision and lots here. So, just got my pen going ahead of everything else. So I'm just going to give that to you for the minutes, but it's just a model letter. And you've worked with, was it, Morning Sky Estates, did they come in and work with you? Or was that on something else?
That must have been on something else.
Okay. They have contacted us, and so has Steve Cavanaugh with Rolling Glen. So we'll let them know what the process is. Yes, Tim?
Madam Chair, is there more than the couple subdivisions that you mentioned that are being notified on this policy letter?
What I would suggest is that anybody who approaches us, we give them the same information as everybody else and follow the process that way. If there's an agreement,
Makes sense to me.
okay? How many I?
Thank you for clarifying that.
Hey, Nicole, are you here for the DOR discussion
I am.
on the subdivisions? This is a model of the letter that we drafted, and talking with Judy Tice, what we've decided to do is require that the subdivisions prove that they meet the requirements of the given lots.
Okay.
And then we, after they do that, we would include that information in the blank spot and then send that letter.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Does that work?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And
And I have an email from Dan White, from DOR, basically stating that it's up to the county to make that determination, whether or not they, either give them a refund or reclassify, so.
Okay.
Good.
All right, would you send that email to Carla and Mike Saystad and just ask, and Susan Swinley,
Yep.
and ask them to verify that that's correct?
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
thanks. Do you have anything to add from the planning side of things?
I don't, other than, just to let you know, the planning board, well, Ron Elliott has drafted a letter in response to this per the commission's request of the planning board. It's been emailed to all the planning board members, and I'm just waiting for responses, so you'll get a response letter on it, and Ron is very, very good at explaining everything. It's a long letter. it also is a response to Dan White's email.
Oh, good, excellent.
Yeah.
Kind of mirroring his emails, I would imagine. All right,
Yep, exactly. So, all right, so that
excellent.
was it.
Any questions for Nicole?
Anything?
All right,
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Very much. All right. We are motoring right along. Any questions on that?
Can I get a copy of that letter?
Mm-hmm. I'll give you one that I didn't try and sign.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And again, it'll just be a model.
That's fine.
Okay.
About the wording.
All right, since we're a little bit ahead, back to the conference coming up. NACO puts together every year through our midwinter conference and the various regional boards meeting, and then also through the dozen or so committees that we have. We have Justice and Public Safety, Land Use, Public Lands, Economic Development, Health and Human Services, Energy. Those all put together a book of policies, which is kind of a policy statement for Harold Blatty and Cheryl Wood and Chantel, who do the lobbying on behalf of county, local governments. And that way they kind of have a preset road as to what they would oppose and support with various legislation. Beyond that, those committees and those regional and district counties put together resolutions that define bills that MACO will oppose, or bills that they will support, or bills that they will draft. So what we have, and individual counties are not held to MACO. If an individual county disagrees, they can certainly go and lobby on their own behalf. So with that, we have the proposed resolutions for the next session. And these, of course, we've all seen before through those various meetings. Those will be voted on at conference. So if you guys have anything you want to add or subtract that you don't agree on, or if you support that, that'll just give me a little bit of direction when it comes time to vote. What most counties do is they sit together at that point so that they can converse before and after votes. It's a rather lengthy process, but it keeps us all on the same page and keeps that line of communication open between counties. It's probably one of the more important things that we do. We've been able to help push very positive legislation for county taxpayers, and we've been able to help kill some really detrimental bills that would have raised taxes or cut services. One of the things that we did have happen through this process a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago now, Gail Bennis, previous commissioner, was speaking on behalf of the Public Lands Committee at a NACO conference, National Association of Counties, and he was educating Eastern commissioners on the wolves issue. They have a whole different view than we do on wolves and what they do as far as their relationship with ranchers. At the beginning of the meeting, the room was pretty much majority for wolves. By the end of Gail's presentation, he had swayed the room to supporting more of the Western United States' stance on wolves. So we can have quite a nice impact, quite a powerful impact on behalf of our citizens. As a rural county, this is an issue that we have to be aware of and constantly work for.
I think part of it is educating those people.
Absolutely, yeah. In such a way that they were willing to listen and learn and absorb the information.
Right.
So this book will be also in the commissioner's office, if you guys have anything you want to add or discuss. I'll bring it to conference as well, so we'll have it with us. And committee meetings are on Tuesday, so I'm thinking that is either a Wednesday morning event or Tuesday afternoon.
Usually it's Wednesday night.
Is it Wednesday morning?
usually.
Excuse me, is that available electronically?
We didn't receive it electronically. It certainly can be requested, but they did send us hard copy.
You see, they have like a control of aquatic invasive species, and the sponsor is Sanders County. I would have thought it would have been one of us in this area.
Sanders County has the mussels,
Oh,
which are, ours are scary, theirs are a nightmare.
why?
Because they're very fast and, at that tour last week with the Conservation District, a woman who's on contract, that deals with aquatic species, showed us a tennis shoe that had been, flathead for a very short amount of time, and you couldn't tell it was a shoe except for the shoelaces. It was about this big, covered in mussels. Now you think about those mussels getting into irrigation pipes, irrigation systems, canals. So the mussels are really what have them afraid. So that's probably why Sanders has taken lead on that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. They've got an overweight permit fees. And usually you go through the state on that.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna allow counties to do that too. On county roads.
Is that led by Missoula?
No, I don't think so. In previous years.
All of these resolutions will be voted on by the membership. Some will go down, some will be upheld.
I'm wrong, this is do pass resolution. Do not pass,
Do
I'm
not
sorry.
pass.
and medical marijuana ordinance is do not pass. There's some interesting stuff in there. Sorry it took so long.
No, that's fine. Give me a chance to go through these claims. The new credit card policy resulted in a couple of departments having late fees for their credit card bills. So that'll be something they need to get a handle on. One of the things that's also finished is the resolution to support Tintina, Coppermine in Mark County. So, get that advertised and have that next Monday that we meet. And I'll, email you guys a copy of that.
Okay.
My printer's out of ink, so there'll be no hard copy. Not for a couple days.
They seem to go through a lot of ink for my printer.
Yeah, I can relate. I suppose especially with your running business too, you've got an awful lot of things that you're printing.
Yeah. Is Mike back?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm gonna put this one sideways, I just don't see where the receipts match the claim. If you guys see it, let me know what I'm missing.
I attended the safety board meeting the other day,
Yes, thank you.
and brought back Franklin's book. Brian has yours.
I actually already got mine too.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think his can probably be given to somebody else. But excellent. Any further changes?
No, there was a couple claims, accidents, whatever,
Mm,
and there was discussion regarding those.
okay.
But it was with the weed department and their four-wheeler tipped over.
Oh, he's been wanting to get rid of that four-wheeler for just that reason.
Well, it was, the silly thing is, in one day, they took it twice, once with Scott and then once with an employee.
Wow.
The employee broke his wrist.
Oh, not good. Yeah, good to know, but not a good thing to have happen.
Well, and Scott said on his, he went across a rock and it gave it just enough of a tip. But of course, they've got that container on the back with all the chemical and throws the balance off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an example where having the right equipment is essential.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that four-wheeler's old too.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
How old is it?
I don't know, I'm gonna say about 10 years. I know it was here, before you and I came on board. I think it came with Pam, so that's my guess, as far as its age goes.
Undoubtedly, they made it safer now.
Yeah, yeah, and the six-wheeler that he has, he says really works well. So, I don't know if that's what he and his board are talking about, but I do know his board's gonna get their foot down about storing it outside if it gets new equipment, which I think is responsible. This claim will probably have to be redacted if you go over it within the citizens. I'm gonna turn it sideways. Just to protect the rights of privacy of the minor.
There seems to be a lot of resolutions this year.
Yeah, and I expect about a third of those will make it through. That happened last year too. There was a good number to start, and then as we got going, each of the different committees started taking second looks. A lot of them were combined, or a lot were thrown out as they would be better policy statements than actual resolutions. it is 11:15, fiscal year 2015 county budget decision. All right, you guys have anything more on the budget that you want to bring forward
I don't.
at this point, Franklin?
What is that question now?
Do you have anything new to bring forward on the budget?
No, I guess not. Where are we sitting right now?
We're working through it step by step. Okay, what we have is one email that was sent to us, and like I said, my printer is out of ink. But we have an email from Brenda, it was a full page, printed out as the third page, but it has the totals, which is, I think, the important thing. We've been having to upgrade the cabling and the computer hardware, or internet hardware. We did the courthouse and we funded that from PILT. It's one of those things, old building, it's gotta be done. You heard Mary Ellen talk about it with mental health and the cost connected, it's not just us. We have privacy information, clients that have their rights protected by the Constitution, so we've gotta pay extra to make sure that that's all done correctly. So, we have that finished for the courthouse. Road and solid waste and extension are fine for now. The public health building needs the same work done as the rest of the courthouse, and she sent a bill for $8,880.92. And Brenda for the sheriff's office, they had some trouble communicating, and so their quote is a little bit late, but the work has also been done or is in process, and it's bigger than the health department, so their bill is bigger, it's $22,782.16. The other computer cabling and networking bills were paid out of PILT, so these are two more. I'll just hand to you guys. And get your opinions on those.
If everything else came out of PILT, looks to me like this should also.
That's my thinking as well. Equity and fairness for all.
That's it too.
You want a motion?
Yeah, I think that'd be best.
Make a motion that we take the money out of PILT for the cabling, for the sheriff's office, and also the Department of Health.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to pay the attached bills from PILT for the computer cabling and upgrading for public health and the sheriff's office. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And those totals again are $8880.92 and $22,782.16.
When will that whole system be up and running? 2 months?
Oh, no, it should be fairly soon now. I think just the cabling and then it's just internal work. Do you have any information on that? All right. So Doug has kind of been the point person on that, so he would have the most answers.
Well, I think at one time they were saying October sometime.
Yeah, and in Black Mountain, we're doing in October too. So, and the two, of course, will marry up together. And that'll make everything a whole lot easier. Black Mountain is going, a lot of counties and schools and cities are going to Black Mountain. So, on the budget, we do have a meeting on Wednesday to go over some of the details, and we'll have that information in our mailboxes probably by the end of the day. Any other questions? Anything else? Tim, do you have a question?
Yes, regarding the budget. Last week, Madam Chair, the Commission adopted a resolution regarding the no levy values.
Correct.
Okay, I just needed I got a chance to look at the resolution and I'm a little bit confused. Down at the bottom of the first page of the resolution, it states whereas 2-6-2112 provides for the authority to increase county's property tax levy. And I looked looked up that statute, and that particular statute refers to disposal of records. I'm wondering if that's possibly just a misprint, or maybe we're looking at something different. But if you would maybe want to take a look at that before going too much further with that. And then I also, on that same particular resolution, you know, the citations of statutes providing for that process are certainly in part of what we have to work with. But my question is, I seem to be missing our requirements under 7-64021. And if the commission would please maybe explain where we're at with the preliminary or amended budget under that particular requirement of statute. I would appreciate being able to make sure I forward the correct information on where we're at with that. Thank you.
We've
Oh,
been
excuse me,
sharing,
one last thing.
okay,
No, I think this is maybe separate, so I'll maybe ask if I could ask one more question after we get through this.
sure. Regarding a typo, we will look into that, double check it. That is a possibility, as always, as we are all human. So we'll look into that and double check it. And I did not bring my logbook with me. And the other one was confusion over the process. It's a different process that we follow, and it's just a matter of following the law. The budget is done in 2 steps. Should always have been, but we're doing it that way now. The first step is to set the mills. We did that, that's done. The next step is to work on the departmental piece of it. So there's 2 different steps, and it's just a matter of following the process incrementally.
Maybe
So what's your
follow up on that.
follow-up?
Under 7-6-4021, notice of preliminary or amended budget, we, according to that statute, the governing body shall cause notice of public hearing on preliminary or amended budget to be published. The notice must A, provide that the governing body has completed its preliminary annual budget for the ensuing fiscal year or intends to amend its annual budget. B, the state that the budget or a budget amendment has been placed on file and is open to inspection. The county municipal office designated in the notice. C, designate the date, time, and place of meeting at which the governing body will meet for approving a final budget or amended budget and making appropriations. And D, state that any taxpayer or resident may appear at the meeting and be heard for or against part of the proposed budget or budget amendment. The publication requirements must conform to provisions of 7-12121 or for the county. So, Madam Chair, I looked at those notices and that part of the process, and it appeared to me that the first Tuesday or the first Thursday in September, or 30 days from the notice of the assessed values of the mills, that preliminary budget should be in a public format, ready to move forward, which is kind of in a way separate from the process that you're describing. So my question, I guess, directly is where are we at with complying with 7-64021?
Right on top of it. I think if you would like to have some clarity, perhaps talking with the county attorney would help you out. What you've done is you've kind of confused a couple of things in there, Tim. We did set the budget. That was what we did last week. That's what that resolution was about. That's what attachment A is. There was no amendment done. There is no amendment done. We are in the budgeting process. And it was open to public comment. We had a public hearing. Nobody commented, but we did have it. And it was posted. It was available for anybody to look at. So we have followed that part of MCA to the letter. So again, if you have further confusion, Tim, please by all means talk with the county attorney, and she can help clarify that for you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One more question. I'm not sure your agenda today speaks to PELT decisions, and I guess I got a question when we're talking about PELT and our budget, and I'm not sure if this fits, Madam Chair, but under 7-7-2103, we are, this statute is very clear and concise. It says there's a restriction on use of county credit. No county must ever give or loan its credit in aid of making a donation or grant or subsidy or otherwise to any individual, association, or corporation, or become a subscriber to or a shareholder in any company or corporation, or a joint owner with any person, company, or corporation. My question, and maybe point to bringing this up, is as we move forward in our budgetary process and we look at allocating PILT funding and or other funding from the county coffers, we need to be very conscious of the fact that we must not get ourselves into that legal quagmire, if you will, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Tim, with all due respect, I think you're confused. PILT is not county credit. It's not. The statute you read does not apply to PILT.
Okay.
It's apples and turkeys. We have a letter from the Secretary of the Interior, and in that letter, it states that PILT is up to the discretion of the county commissioners on how it is spent. The fact that we use PILT to fund capital expenditures on behalf of the county or to fund unexpected expenses throughout the year is absolutely 100% in keeping with the federal guidelines for PILT. But I appreciate you bringing that forward, but again, PILT is not credit, so it doesn't apply.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
With that, we are close enough to 11:30 to move forward with the PILT part. I'm looking for that letter from Rod and Gun Club. Okay, so the next on the agenda is PILT decisions. Brenda Ludwig, Sheriff, request for 2 more new vehicles. Kyle Hopstead, THS CEO, request for loan payment and building repair assistance. And Ron and Gun Club request. So with that, we have Brenda here first. Don't see Kyle. So Brenda, would you like to come on up? It's certainly, we've heard the presentation before, but we are happy to hear it again. If you would like to reiterate it, it is absolutely up to you.
It's what would the board's pleasure be?
Let's hear it again, one more time with Theo. Question before you start that. I'm just looking at a claim here. Truck and trailer fees and fuel to take horses to the vet. What was wrong with them now?
That was Gump and the mayor.
Oh, okay.
You know who Gump is, don't you? The Colt.
Oh.
That's why we call him Gump, is because he was born with the.
Kind of turned out there. So what can they do for him? Can they cast him?
They trim and turn his hooves out.
So is it getting better?
He is getting better.
Good.
What we're looking at is replacement of 2 vehicles again. What we talked to you last year about, in 2008, we had, actually, we purchased 4 patrol vehicles. I don't know if some of you remember. Because of let's see. In 2008, we replaced 4 vehicles with Durangos because of the non-replacement for so many years. So here in recent years, we've been trying to do 2 per year. So what we're looking at is 2 of the Ford Interceptors And we've got quotes back from Bison Ford.
Is that a car or is that,
It's a SUV.
okay,
We went to,
sorry for the ignorance. but-
nope, that's fine. We went to Broadwater Ford and Bison Ford out of Great Falls, that's who we purchased from last year. And Bison came back with the same purchase prices we had last year. And I know I sent this to you guys. And what we're gonna look at doing is, excuse me, I'll go through this. Is getting rid of one of the '08 Durangos and possibly either the Crown Vic or we've got one of the other sedans. And and possibly cycling one of the sedans through to the detention. So that they'll have a transport vehicle.
Instead of that,
Well, detention's also looking at getting a different van,
okay,
because theirs is getting a lot of mileage, but also taking one of the sedans and putting it in the detention fleet, so that they'll have a vehicle, a vehicle for transporting for fewer inmates with more miles. So they'll have two vehicles, one for more passengers and one for fewer passengers. So they'll have actually two transport.
how many can you put in the van?
Right now, we can only put 6 inmates in the van. The problem is we're gonna have to start having it's a 2005, and it is almost close to 90,000 miles, so we're getting close. There's shimmy in the front, so we're gonna have to start having to throw some money in it. I did go to Broadwater Ford, found a van that's a 12 passenger, and with all the transports we do, it's a 2013 with only 20,000 miles, and it will meet our needs way more because we are going to the prison almost on a weekly basis. Sergeant Kynette's doing a lot of transports to further places with a lot more inmates. This way, and I planned on, Brendan and I talked about it this morning, submitting a proposal, trading in the van we have now to help purchase the new van that we desperately need. And then when we have to run to Lewis and Clark or Gallatin County, we discussed, and I discussed this when we did our budgets, using one of the smaller cars when we transport 1 to 2 inmates. But we do so many inmates, transfers with a lot of inmates, we need a transport van. And that's what this would be. It's just like the one Gallatin County and Lewis and Clark have. It's a big 12-passenger van. Sort of like what Doc drives around. It looks just like that.
But yours would have decals.
Exactly, yes, and a lot safer.
Cage.
And
Cages,
cages, yes. So, that's the proposal, because we desperately need it. Sergeant Kynette came and gave me a report. We're gonna start sticking some money into that van we have now that might not be needed. And, I've already got some, numbers from Broadwater Ford on that van, and, trade-in value for the van we currently have.
So,
And it's
It's
a
a-
95, not 2000.
Sorry, it's a 95, not a 2005.
so are we talking 2 vehicles or are we talking more than 2 vehicles?
So it would be 2 vehicles for the sheriff's department and 1 vehicle for the detention center.
And you would trade the van?
Yes, ma'am. So you're looking at a total of 3 vehicles that we'd be trading in. 2 for the sheriff, 1 for myself.
Makes sense.
Any further questions for Brenda and Nick?
Have you got, I guess I do, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
A quote from, say, Bison Ford or
For the vehicle, for the transport vehicle,
The van, yeah.
I did not. I went to Broadwater Ford because Mike Anderson and the owner have been really good to us. And he quoted me $19,000 for the van. And it books right now for 32.
Yeah.
So he's giving me a screaming deal.
Holy cow, yeah.
We should trade vehicles too, huh?
And that's the rear opening, so you have a compartment in the back to put all.
Yes, sir. Yep, so there's, in the back, it has butterfly doors to put all the inmates' property. And then on the side, it has butterfly doors as well, but then there's 4 rows of seats.
So 2 to a seat?
Yes, 2 to 3 to a seat. We would probably do 2. Well, honestly, it's all dependent on what we have.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about it is it's a lot easier to separate the males to females. Now, in the current van we have right now, they're very close to one another. Where this van, it'd be a lot easier to separate the males from females.
And I went to both for quotes, and I only received quotes back from Bison. The issue is Bison has a one-stop shop where they can do all the installations, and where Broadwater doesn't. They could do the purchase of the vehicle, but then have to ship the vehicle to Bob Vito to have the video and stuff, which he's in Illinois. Is what we're looking at. So that's the
He's
issue.
the only one around that does.
Well, that's who they were,
Evidently.
that's who they were looking at to do the installation of the video and camera.
Well, where have you gotten that CIP fund that's in Bill?
You know, I don't have any idea. I haven't received
You
it.
know, if it is.
It was all spent
Oh, okay.
last year
That's
on
right,
the
that's right,
2
not it
vehicles.
was. I didn't know if you guys put more in at the end of the year or not.
We do that at the end of the budget, so I would expect that would be in a couple of weeks, but with their deadline of today, we actually moved this up. So,
Madam Chair, to give you, I just got a text from Broadwater Ford. They're looking at $19,919 is the total price for the van. And it has, it's still under factory warranty, so that's a huge bonus for us.
Now, what year did you say it was?
It's a 2013.
13.
Yes, sir.
And how many miles are on it?
Only 20,000.
Is that what the trade-in?
That's with the trading. That's after the trade-in. They're giving us $2,500 for our trade-in.
And how old is it?
It's 95.
Time to go?
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, you know, Sergeant Kynette's, he's sort of a whiz when it comes to older vehicles. And he's saying that we're gonna start spending, because he actually has the same van himself personally, and he just replaced, was it a front end in his, and some major things, so we're gonna start having to upkeep that vehicle, which will cost us money, where this is under full warranty.
Well, and that van is basically 20 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And he can't replace, transport van
No.
because it's an emergency vehicle.
Right. So,
Yeah, and this size is good, that's great.
yes, yes, sir. It'll meet our needs a lot better than what we currently have.
What do you think life expectancy of those vehicles are?
From what I was explained to by the dealership, it's something that I probably we would, knock on wood, it would be something that I'd have for the majority of my career. So with only 20,000 miles, we're averaging one a week, transport a week. We wouldn't be we'd be putting some miles on, but it's like I said, it's still under warranty. We upkeep our vehicles very well. And it not being like an actual emergency vehicle, where it's varying in speeds and turnarounds and hard on brakes, we could get as many years as we've gotten with our van, and that's 2005, so